what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
This is a previously recorded episode of Making Living Better on WHKY, Catawba County, North Carolina's radio source for first-person storytelling.
Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on WHKY, talk radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Our segment is called Making Living Better, where we meet folks from Catawba County who are living here and making living better in our community. This morning we're going to talk with Lucy Herr. We'll talk about her career with Goodwill, growing up in Catawba County. But I just found out some interesting stuff that I didn't even know. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But you are of Hmong descent, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so Hmong folks are originally from China, moved into Thailand, Laos. Your family, mom and dad, I guess, from Laos. Is that right? So they came to the United States. Your mom was up in Ohio. Your dad was in California. They met somewhere in California.
Yes.
And they heard there was work in North Carolina.
Yeah, and moved here in 94.
In 94. So you were in third grade.
Third grade.
Tell me about that trip, because that was kind of cool.
It was long. I think there was about 9 to 10 families together with
Right.
one U-Haul. Everybody's belongings. We stuck only what we can in that U-Haul.
Right.
And about 12 to 13 cars with families just coming down from I-40 from California all the way to North Carolina.
So it's just like a big caravan.
Yep.
Everybody said there's work in North Carolina.
Everybody moved here.
Let's get into what was it? Your mom had a Toyota minivan or something like that?
A Toyota van.
Right.
And had one seat all the way in the back. And so we just kind of spread it. Me, my brother, and my sister, we just kind of spread right in the middle of the van and came here.
Do you remember anything about that trip? Do you remember like going near the Grand Canyon or any of the? Because if we were going to pack up and move or go to California, we'd probably do a little sightseeing. But you were just like,
we
boom,
did not.
Get here.
We were just concerned about everybody getting here in one piece and not having an accident or anything,
Right.
and just making sure that everybody was well rested. I only remember stopping at rest areas and either taking a nap or just stopping there.
Right, right. So little stops across the country. But you made it from California. You were in third grade.
Third grade.
And you got here, you came in, and the trees scared you.
Yes.
Right? You hadn't seen a lot of
Mountains
trees.
and trees.
Right, you hadn't seen that because you were moving from California.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about growing up, because you were born and raised in the United States, American girl. So tell me a little bit about growing up in the area.
In this area, it was a little bit different from California. California was busy. I mean, we came from Fresno, California, so it was kind of like, there's houses everywhere. There weren't really many trees. There wasn't
Right.
a lot of stuff to do. I mean, there was a lot of stuff to do, but it just wasn't homey.
Right.
It was too busy for me. So moving here, and we dropped to Drexel, North Carolina. So that was that was a lot of trees and a lot of mountains and a little trailer park with one of my uncles. And it was a cultural shock. It was very different. There was an accent that I did not understand.
Right.
When I first came here, there was
Right.
an accent I did not understand. So it took me a long time as a little girl to try to understand my teachers and my
Oh, yeah.
friends. So
And this is not from Laotian. This is not Hmong. This is
it's
California,
from-
North
yeah.
Carolina.
It was it's just a state different. And it's just like, well, I guess it's just a dialect, kind of like,
is.
the Hmong has two dialects. There's some dialects in there, and it's just kind of like that. So
Right.
I kind of like, okay, well then I'll ask questions whenever I don't understand the teacher.
Right.
So
So you grew up in the education system here, went to, and you actually moved to Catawba County when you were a
We
little bit
did.
older, right? And so what you went to what high school?
I went to Bunker Hill High School.
Bunker Hill High School. And at that point, you knew that you wanted to do something to help other folks. And you
Yes.
attended what, ECU?
I went to ECU, and my intentions was to try to get into their nursing program.
Right.
And biology and physiology and chemistry wasn't my thing.
Right.
When I got there, so it wasn't really my thing. So
But you wanted to help people.
all I said to my teacher and my counselor was, I want to help people. Like,
Right.
what do I what is there for me to help people? So we threw out a lot of things, like social work, counseling, things. I was like, but I don't want to dig that deep into people's lives. I don't
Right.
want to dig that deep into life that way.
Sure.
I want to just be this person out here that helps and get them to places or
Right.
get them to do something.
I think it's great. I love because in the pre-interview that the information that Amy, she's a California girl, by the way. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I have to talk to her about that. California girl, a couple of California girls here this morning. But in the you had an educator there who said any job is helping somebody.
Yes.
I thought that was great as I was reading through this.
I had one instructor there that said, any job is helping people. You just have to think of it that way. She said, teachers help kids. Police helps
Right.
the public. Officials, public officials, they help people.
So that kind of gave you a broad idea.
Yeah.
So you started actually as an internship, and then you got a job helping people
Yes.
in a way in a traditional way that we may think of helping people. You helped young people. You helped young children,
Yes.
right, and then teens, some girls.
I first was with Noason Incorporated, in which they were never overlooking a child in need, and we
Never
worked,
overlook a child in need. That's the acronym. Uh-huh.
Yep. And what we did there was we worked with kids that had mental and developmental barriers.
Right.
And just kind of help them be included, have them community inclusion, and just kind of help them with some goals to make sure that they're on the right path to where they want to be.
You worked with some young girls, teenage girls, at-risk girls, at a home.
After that, I became an interim group home manager with at-risk girls 14 to 18 years old, and we just kind of helped them to make sure that they stayed out of trouble.
Then, of course, there was some a family here. You had, a lot of family move over from California, so you
Yes.
had a lot of family. But there were some health issues, and you were coming back and forth, running the road all the time. You said, well, there's some opportunities in the Catawba County area.
Yes.
So you decided, let's make the move to Catawba County.
Yes, I moved to Catawba County, and my first job interview was at Barium Springs.
Oh.
But I was like, well, I don't know if I really want to work with kids anymore because it was difficult for me
Sure.
in Greenville. So when I looked, there was something called a job coach with Goodwill Industries, and I applied for it, and I got it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. What is a job coach?
Right.
Because previously, what got me the job is that I was a training supervisor with JCPenney while I was in college.
Oh, really? Okay.
I went from a catalog associate to a training supervisor. So I kind of helped people train for all different sorts of jobs in JCPenney.
Okay.
So when I went and interviewed, I think that was my stronger point, that I was able to train.
Right.
And I still didn't understand when I first went to the interview what job coaching was. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a try. I'm new here. I'll give it a try. Right. And I did, and I loved it.
And job coaching, you really got into job coaching, from what I understand, because you would help people
Yes.
Find a job, and you would maybe help some folks who needed a hand with that job. So what you do, this is what I thought was really cool. You'd go in and find out about that job by doing that job,
Yes.
right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody maybe was looking for, I'm going to mention the one,
Yeah.
but if somebody was looking for somebody who was maybe going to work a cash register, you'd learn how to do that. If someone was going to learn how to clean toilets,
I would do that.
you would do that. The one that I thought was cool, there was a place that you actually, I was going to mention this one, where you actually would take orders at a drive-in restaurant, roller skating.
Yes.
So you learned to roller skate.
I had to learn how to roller skate because I did not roller skate ever since middle school. So after college, I was like, I've never had a roller skate on. I had to put on roller skates, balance, and learn how to do that and teach my individuals.
So that's so cool, though.
Yes, because the individuals that we worked with either had mental issues,
Right.
a lot of barriers, mental or
Right.
developmental barriers, and they needed someone one-on-one to kind of help them through that training process. A lot of times once they're done with the training process, they're good on their own.
Right.
It's just they needed someone to kind of help them, go alongside with them to make sure that they understood what the employers were saying to them.
And this is one of the things, that I found out, that you realized that people can do anything with the right training. And that's everybody. That's just not maybe people who have developmental differences or differences. This is anybody.
Oh, yeah. I never thought I would go and work in a job and fold linen
Right.
or wash or clean toilets or play Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, yeah, Chuck E. Cheese. That's right. You made pizzas, right?
We made pizzas.
And they have a very specific way to do that.
Yes.
So you were able to help train a person
Yes.
in those very specific steps.
Yes.
In the way to, and of course they were able to get a job and to be able to enjoy life more.
Yep.
Making living better.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. More First Talk right after the break.
If you're looking for an awesome place to be, Catawba County is the place for you and me. We are close to Charlotte, but without all the stress and mess.
We have awesome schools with amazing teachers. We learn using robots, Legos, and computers.
We have many historic sites like Gold Mine, Murray's Mill, and Lake Norman too. The only thing that will make us better is you.
Catawba County, making living better!
Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. We're talking this morning with Lucy Herp. She is with Goodwill Industries. We're going to talk about that. My problem is I get there's so many interesting things about folks. Sometimes I don't stay on point like I should. But one of the things we were just talking about during the break, because I got to ask you, and maybe people don't ask, maybe it seems inappropriate, but I said, when you first got here, and maybe people did not recognize a lot of Hmong people. And I was wondering about how people felt about people who were maybe different from them and looked different from them. Was it a big deal back then? And is it a big deal now? Have people gotten more used to seeing people who have some differences in Catawba County? And you said originally it wasn't that big of a deal, really. There was not that many problems, but it certainly is a whole lot better today for the Hmong community because you see each other out and about.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
At the beginning, 94, 95, you hardly ever see family outside of we only see people whenever we're at gatherings. But now it's like, oh, hey, I see this aunt. I saw this aunt here at the store. I saw this one over here. And it's just like you get to see them out in the community. Everybody's here now, and we're out there. We're not, we're not just seeing people in at our gatherings anymore.
So more blended into the community instead of being maybe a separate part. You've actually blended in. You've got friends all over and family all over the community. I thought it was interesting that you're married with 2 children.
Yes.
And when you had your children, the hospital actually had a Hmong diet.
The chicken diet.
Chicken diet
because we go on a chicken diet after we have a baby for 30 days.
Okay.
And so, it's wonderful to see that the hospital has a chicken broth diet that, that we're not able to eat anything else other than chicken.
And this is part of your community.
Yes.
This is part of who you are as an individual.
Yeah.
But folks in the area have embraced you and the Hmong community and said, if this is the way that we need to take care of your needs, this is what we're going to try to do.
Yep.
So I think that's wonderful. But you're still taking care of people with what you do in Goodwill. Tell us a little bit about, now you tried to get plugged into the community initially to help people with jobs.
Yes.
Because that was part of your job, was getting jobs for people.
Yes.
So you tried a lot of different ways to get plugged in. You were a member of the Chamber Leads group, different things like this. Tell us about getting plugged into the community.
It wasn't hard at all. All we had to do was, it was harder for me because I'm not a very social person. And then when I first got this job, I'm just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but, hey, I'll take my chances.
Right.
So Goodwill, they gave us information as, make sure you talk to your chamber, see what kind of programs, networking that you can do in the community.
Right.
So when we first went to the chamber, we learned about the leads group meetings. So each one of us, as job coaches, we went to leads group meeting to try to see, hey, what's coming into our towns, because those are the meetings that we heard about new jobs, or either we heard about new companies coming into town or close to town. It's just people in the community hearing things and giving other individuals those leads.
So it came from that to actually from the big jobs and the people coming in to folks who are actually sitting around the table. You may have somebody say, oh, I've got a job that you might be able to help with, or someone may be able to do this job. So it went from those big kind of looking at what's happening on a to the more personal level and actually what's kind of happening around the table.
Yes, and also just a great marketing for me, just to let them know, hey, I've got people that needs jobs.
Yeah.
And, I was like, let me know if you've got anything or if you hear of anybody that needs somebody. It was great for me.
Tell me about your job now today. What do you do today, day in and day out?
I am a day program manager for
For Goodwill.
For Goodwill. And what I work with is individuals with disabilities, developmental disabilities, and they come in from 8 to 3. And they learn all sorts of skills. They do independent living skills, vocational skills, and they do a lot of community integration. So what we try to do with them is get them familiar with their community to make sure that if they ever were in trouble somewhere in a community, or if they ever needed something, they knew their resources, what was available to them in Catawba County.
And sometimes that's as simple as driving around and saying, this is the hospital, this is the fire department, this is the police department.
We've gone one day just driving around Catawba County and looking at fire departments and how different maybe some may look from others and what to look for, because there's always a fire truck sign right before you get to a fire station. So, it was good for them to recognize, okay, hey, what's coming up when they saw that fire truck sign. What's coming up, and they knew that, hey, there's a fire station there. So it's kind of good for us to just drive around Catawba County and just know where we're at.
And some of the things that you're doing are helping these folks with the skills that they're going to need because mom and dad or their caretakers may be getting a little older. And one day you want these people to be able to function as well as they possibly can, either by themselves or with minimal help. So that's kind of what you're doing with the day program, is having them get used to that part of it. In your pre-interview, you talked a little bit about wow moments, about things, and I was interested by the person who would maybe not initiate conversations. Maybe they were a little quiet.
Yes.
But you went bowling one day.
And all it took for us to say wow was he said, I got a strike. And he usually never does say anything out of the ordinary other than yes, ma'am, no. But he came back and the first thing he said to another staff that didn't go was, I got a strike. And I was just like, wow.
Wow.
Here's
somebody who's interacting.
Yeah.
Here's somebody. I like the fact that as you go on these trips and you go out, you go bowling, you look for fire stations, that people used to look around and make sure that a staff member was there, kind of back them up. Now they're not. They're looking forward.
Oh, no. Now when we're at the mall, they're like, can I go in here?
Right.
And it's just like, oh, yeah, okay. I'll be right out here if you need me.
Right.
And they're going in. They're trying on clothes on them by themselves. They're doing a lot of things on their own, and all you have to do is just keep your eyes on them. You don't have to worry about them sometimes.
So this is really what you always wanted to do. You wanted to help people, and now you have that opportunity here in Catawba County.
Oh, yes.
Of being able to help these folks, and eventually one day they'll be able to, hopefully, I guess the goal would be to manage as well as possible by themselves or with minimal. Now, before we wrap up, because we have just a minute left, literally less than a minute, you have the Hmong New Year.
Yes.
That's a big part still, whether you're a California girl, whether you're right here at Catawbian, that's a big thing. Talk to us briefly about that.
New Year here in North Carolina is usually on around Thanksgiving, and it's a big deal. It used to be maybe a couple hundreds of people, and it comes from the whole East Coast here, from Rhode Island all the way down to Florida. And a couple hundred people. Now it's thousands of people.
Thousands of people.
Thousands of people.
Come to Catawba County for the Hmong New Year.
Yeah, and it's not only just the East Coast anymore. We have people that comes from California, from Minnesota, from other states now that come here, and they come to visit family during that time. But they're enjoying our New Year as well. And
right here in Catawba County.
Right here in North Carolina.
I never knew that happened. That's pretty cool. So very nice meeting you.
It was great being here.
Thank you very much, and thank you for making living better right here in Catawba County. Thanks so much for joining us on First Talk. We know you have a choice in morning radio. That's why we appreciate you choosing the First Talk radio program. When you see Lucy Herr out and about in the community, tell her hi. She's got some great stories, and make sure that you tell her hello. And it's never too late to say welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thanks for listening. To find more first-person stories from Catawba County, visit makinglivingbetter.com or tune in to themesh.tv each month for a new podcast.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.